Milton Friedman didn't mince his words. Let's examine this.
If I were going to be as demagogic as Mr. Kinnock, I would ask him whether he would rather have a world run by civil servants for civil servants at the expense of the ordinary people.
During a debate with a former UK Labour leader, Friedman dismantled his equality argument, explaining how the very system meant to reduce inequality ends up creating more of it. And today, we're breaking it all down. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
I think where the monetarists and Professor Friedman particularly are wrong is that they will the ends, as he just did, without willing the means. And the transitional period he talks about ignores the fact that by political action and the action of those who have wealth, they will determine levels of negative income tax and other factors at a level which ensures the perpetuity of those who are dispossessed or unfortunate for the greater glory of themselves. Now, the system that I see, both in terms of the advancement of productivity, the reduction of costs, and the general advance both of political freedom and of economic emancipation, is that starting line, at very least, should be one of equal capability and equal access and equal opportunity. Now, by definition, the Friedmanites would deny that because they want a system, an ideal world, which is run by gangsters and Las Vegas gamblers, basically for a world of gangsters and Las Vegas gamblers, and they are the only perfect products of that monetarist system.
That's Neil Kinnock, the self-described social democrat who spent nearly a decade leading the UK's Labour Party, followed by a stint as European Commissioner, then served one term as VP of the European Commission. On paper, that's an impressive career. But if you really think about it, he ended up becoming the exact type of villain his own rhetoric was aimed against. And for all the talk about equal opportunity, the policies he pushes tend to focus far more on equal outcomes through wealth redistribution and government intervention. Now, he's still active in the House of Lords, and one of his more recent causes has been pushing for a wealth tax. But Friedman saw where the argument was headed from a mile away and made sure to call it out.
It simply is wrong to assert that in a world of economic freedom and political freedom, you have an accumulation of monopolies. It's also wrong to assert that in that world you have a world of gangsters ruling gangsters. If I were going to be as demagogic as Mr. Kinnock, I would ask him whether he would rather have a world run by civil servants for civil servants at the expense of the ordinary people.
They're not the alternatives.
Well, but let's go back to the facts. In the 19th century, which in the United States was a period of great economic freedom, when the government played a very small role, when total expenditures of the federal government were 3% of the national income.
But
if you look at the distribution of income, the period of economic freedom was a period in which the poor were getting better off, in which the differences in income between the rich and the poor was getting smaller and not larger.
The BBC actually ran an interesting analysis comparing wage growth to inflation from 2012 through June 2022. What they found was that while wages did rise during certain periods, they ultimately failed to keep pace with the increase in prices. They repeated the same process in May 2023 and reached an even worse conclusion because real wage growth was in negative territory. Now, there are obviously multiple factors behind this trend, but having governments that operate on massive deficits, depend on easy money, and drive up the cost of doing business certainly doesn't make things any easier. Friedman went on to explain how a government picking winners and losers leads to more inequality. But before we play that, we have a quick word from today's sponsor. Now, Saga Metals is quickly becoming one of the most interesting stories in the critical mineral space. And the latest update may be their biggest yet. Less than 48 hours ago, the company released results indicating that the Radar project could represent one of the largest titanium and vanadium systems ever identified. Trading as SAGMF in the US and Saga in Canada, this is a development worth paying attention to. Now, to put the opportunity into perspective, it supplies more than 40% of global vanadium production and serves as a cornerstone of a multi-billion-dollar market. Together, titanium and vanadium support an industry worth over $50 billion each year. Now enters Saga with their Radar project. Based on current data, now the project appears comparable in scale to Panjihua and may even surpass it. If upcoming exploration continues to validate the early data, Saga could be advancing one of the largest titanium-vanadium intrusive systems on the planet. That changes the whole conversation from exploration to securing a strategic supply chain at a continental level. Titanium remains a very critical defense metal, used in things like fighter jets, advanced radar systems, and next-generation naval technology. Governments across North America are already committing billions of dollars to secure domestic critical mineral supply chains and reduce dependence on foreign sources, putting projects like radar directly into focus. With strong results, government backing, and an ambitious exploration program, momentum around Saga continues to build. So, if you want to learn more about their story, check the link in the description. Now, back to the video.
If you look at the present situation and you ask who are the people how do you make money in today's world? How do you become a millionaire in today's world? It's by getting special privileges from government. What kind of nonsense is this? That government is cutting down. If I want to get rich in the United States, the easiest way to do it is to have the government give me a television channel. I will immediately be a millionaire. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if I wanted to get rich in Great Britain, fortunately the conservative government has eliminated this. The best way to do it was to get a permit to get foreign exchange. You had foreign exchange control. In every country in the world, if I take India, where you have tremendous differences of income, who are the rich people in India? They are the people who have special privileges from government. So government is a source of differences of income, of special privilege, of monopoly. A world of freedom is a world in which some people are free to make money. Other people are free to pursue the arts. Still other people are free to go live in communes if they want to. There's nothing wrong with a society in which if Neil Kinnock doesn't like the rat race, he can go and form a commune with some of his...
10 minutes in a commune. any more than you would.
And that's how Friedman got Kinnock to admit something interesting. He wouldn't survive in a system he's actively preaching for. And how could he? This is a politician who came from a working-class background and went on to build a reported net worth of around £9.5 million. In many ways, he's the British version of Bernie Sanders, just like his American counterpart. Kinnock eventually drifted into the same tired talking points about how the wealthy need to pay more. But Friedman had heard that argument countless times before and shut down the whole thing for good. Take a look.
And whilst I applaud the instincts of Milton Friedman, in practice, he has got the most implausible proposition of all, that somehow, spontaneously, those who have got their wealth and their position and their power and their influence, by the abuse of freedom, by dodging the obligations of civilization, will on the day that they become powerful, become, in their condescension or their sense of fairness or Christianity or whatever else, great providers to the remainder of people.
Excuse me, that's a travesty in the first place. The main reason I believe in economic freedom is because I believe it's the only way to prevent the possessors of capital from having too much power.
But they don't. You don't.
Excuse me. If you start along your lines, your intentions may be fine, all your talk is fine, but the plain fact is that I know hardly any governmental program enacted in the name of equality which does not take from the poor to give to the middle and upper classes, as in the field of education, as in every other field.
Well,
it's the security of the civil service that is a major objective of most of these programs. If we take the programs that you have in this country to provide assistance to the so-called poor, one of the major effects has been to create the poor, to create a class of poor.
Now, this isn't to say safety nets don't have a role to play. Some people fall in hard times, those with disabilities, or those facing circumstances beyond their control, who genuinely need help. The problem is that modern welfare programs have expanded so much that they're supporting people who were never supposed to depend on them. On top of that, there's the issue of weak oversight and bloated bureaucracies, which leads to waste, fraud, and abuse. A far better approach is ensuring a level playing field so that people who are willing to work have access to real opportunities and the tools to succeed. Anything beyond that starts creating incentives for dependency, while opening the door for politicians to misuse taxpayer dollars for their own agendas.